Hola, ¿cómo estás? Espero que hoy tengas un gran día. Hoy vamos a practicar nuestra habilidad con el inglés. Tu objetivo es conseguir entender al menos el 70% de la historia. A lo largo del video escucharemos la historia solo en inglés y usaremos subtítulos en inglés y en español, con frases muy cortas y un vocabulario muy sencillo de entender. Sobre la mitad del video escucharás un timbre como este. Tenlo en cuenta para que puedas hacer una pequeña pausa, y para que así la experiencia sea lo más cómoda posible para ti. Ponte cómodo o cómoda y disfruta de la historia. Si te gustan este tipo de clases, no olvides comentar, trae más historias. También te animamos a compartir este video con 5 contactos, que tengan un nivel de inglés muy bajo. Ahora sí, comenzamos.
The Dragon and the Phoenix, the story that moved the woodsmen of the region. Once upon a time, in a land not too far away, there was a small village surrounded by a dense and mysterious forest. The villagers were woodsmen, tireless workers who knew every corner of those ancient trees. Among them, there was a story told around the campfire, a story that said that beyond the mountains lived two magical creatures, a dragon and a phoenix. The dragon was a majestic being. Its scaly skin reflected the sun as if it were made of emeralds. Its eyes, bright like two torches, could see beyond the horizon. The phoenix, on the other hand, was a creature of golden feathers and eyes full of fire. It would rise from its ashes, always rejuvenated, always eternal. The story went that every 100 years, the dragon and the phoenix would meet at the top of a sacred mountain. It was a ritual they observed religiously, a unique moment when they shared stories of the places they had seen and the things they had learned. But this meeting had a deeper purpose, one that only they knew. One day, you, a young woodsman from the village, decided to venture into the forest to discover if the story was true. You were tired of the routine and sought something beyond the ordinary. You walked for days, crossing rivers and climbing hills, until you reached the sacred mountain. When you reached the summit, you saw the dragon and the phoenix, just as described in the legends. They stared at each other, as if time didn't exist. However, what surprised you the most was that instead of appearing powerful and confident, they seemed sad. You hid behind a rock, but you could hear their conversation. The dragon sighed. I've seen so many kingdoms fall, so many promises broken. Why do we keep doing this? The phoenix, with a soft and serene voice, replied, We are hope. Every time I am reborn, I bring with me a spark of change. Every time you fly, you inspire dreams. Without us, the world would become stagnant. The dragon lowered its head. But what if hope is not enough? What if our efforts are in vain? The phoenix smiled and looked at the horizon. There will always be someone who believes, someone who gets inspired. Even if it's just one, it's worth it. You, listening to this, felt a warmth in your heart. You realized that the story was not just a tale for children. It was a lesson about hope and perseverance. You returned to the village with a new perspective, and every time someone asked about your journey, you told the story of the dragon and the phoenix. But this time, with an additional detail. They exist, you said, and they still believe in us, even when we stop believing. The woodsman, moved by your story, began to see the world differently. They no longer saw just trees to cut, but a forest full of life and possibilities. And so, the village changed. Not because a dragon and a phoenix really existed, but because hope and belief in something greater than oneself can change people's hearts. And you, dear reader, what story are you willing to believe? What hope are you willing to follow? The moral: there will always be hard times, doubts, and fears. But just like the dragon and the phoenix, hope and perseverance are powerful forces. Never underestimate the power of a well-told story and the spark of change it can ignite in someone's heart. Over time, the story of the dragon and the phoenix became a living legend among the villagers. Every time someone spoke of them, there was an air of mystery and admiration. However, despite the beauty of the tale, there was one question that was never answered. What did the dragon and the phoenix do after their meeting on the mountain? Intrigued by this mystery, you decided to return to the sacred mountain a year after your first encounter. This time, you carried a small offering, a simple wooden amulet carved with care, symbolizing the hope you had found in their story. You wanted to thank them and perhaps discover more about them. Upon reaching the summit, you were surprised to see a very different scene. The dragon and the phoenix were not alone. In front of them stood a mysterious figure, an old man with a long white beard and eyes full of wisdom. He seemed to be narrating something, and both creatures listened attentively. You hid once more, this time closer, not wanting to miss a word. The old man spoke with a soft yet firm voice. You, guardians of change, must know that your existence is more than just a manifestation of hope. You are the balance between the ephemeral and the eternal, the mortal and the immortal. Each of your meetings marks the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. However, this time, something different must happen. The dragon lowered its head respectfully. Master, what is expected of us? The old man smiled sadly. This time, one of you must stay to guide humanity on its path. It's not enough to inspire from afar. The world needs a beacon, a tangible guide. The phoenix spread its golden wings, filling the air with a comforting warmth. And who among us will be chosen? The old man pointed toward the horizon. The heart of the one who decides will be tested. It is not a light burden, but it is necessary. The choice is yours. You shivered. The conversation was taking an unexpected turn. The possibility that one of these immortal beings would descend to live among mortals was unprecedented. And then, something even more surprising happened. The old man turned and looked directly into your eyes, as if he knew you were there. "Come, young one," he said warmly. "Your presence is no coincidence." With your heart pounding, you stepped out of your hiding place and approached them. The old man observed you curiously. "You have heard our conversation. What do you think of this dilemma?" You took a moment to respond. I believe that hope and guidance are necessary, but I also believe that humanity must learn to find its own way. Perhaps it is not just about one of you guiding us, but teaching us to find that light within ourselves. The dragon and the phoenix exchanged glances, and a spark of understanding shone in their eyes. The old man nodded approvingly. Wise words. Perhaps the true guidance is not to show the way, but to ignite the spark of the search. Then, the phoenix stepped forward. I will be that spark, it said with determination. I will not stay in one place, but will fly around the world, inspiring those who need to see the light. I will not be limited to one destination, but will be a symbol of renewal and hope wherever needed. The dragon smiled, its eyes shining with pride. And I will watch from the heights, protecting and observing. Because sometimes, what is most needed is not direct guidance, but the freedom to explore. The old man bowed to them both. So be it. Let the story continue, not as a burden, but as a gift. You, a witness to this pact, felt a deep gratitude. You had been part of something much larger than you had imagined. You returned to the village.
Genial, lo estás haciendo muy bien, respira hondo, y pausa un momento para que puedas tomar un vaso de agua. El cerebro necesita de pequeñas pausas para poder asimilar la máxima información posible. Se trata de divertirse aprendiendo, no sufriendo. Además, si te está gustando, aprovecha para suscribirte para que podamos seguir trayendo más historias así. ¿Seguimos? Vamos allá.
Carrying with you not just the story of the dragon and the phoenix, but also the promise that hope and renewal would always be within reach. The endless story. From that day on, the phoenix was seen in various parts of the world, its bright feathers a beacon in the darkness. And although the dragon remained in the heights, its presence was felt as a silent guardian. The legend grew, and with it, the understanding that each of us has a spark of hope and renewal within us. And so, the story continues, endless, because as long as there are those who listen and believe, the light of the phoenix and the watchfulness of the dragon will never fade. And you? What spark of hope will you ignite today? As the years passed, the legend of the dragon and the phoenix spread far and wide. Stories of the phoenix appearing in distant lands became more frequent. People claimed to see a golden bird soaring in the sky, leaving a trail of light that filled them with warmth and hope. These sightings were often accompanied by unexpected acts of kindness and unity among the people, as if the phoenix's presence sparked a flame of goodwill in their hearts. The dragon, meanwhile, remained a guardian in the heights. Its presence was not as visible, but there were moments when a shadow passed over the land, and those who looked up felt a sense of protection. It was as if the dragon watched over them from afar, ensuring that the balance of the world was maintained. The dragon's silent vigilance became a symbol of the unseen forces that safeguard the world. You, the young woodsman who had witnessed their pact, continued to live in the village. The story you carried within you grew with each retelling, and with it, your understanding of its deeper meaning. You began to notice how the people around you changed. The villagers, once focused solely on their daily tasks, started to take more time to appreciate the beauty of the world around them. They planted gardens, created art, and helped one another with newfound compassion. It was as if the seeds of hope planted by the dragon and the phoenix had taken root in the village. One day, an old friend from a neighboring village visited you. He had heard the stories of the phoenix and the dragon, and he wanted to know more. As you recounted your experiences, he asked, "Do you ever wonder if there might be a way for us to connect more deeply with the dragon and the phoenix? To understand their wisdom and carry it forward?" This question lingered in your mind long after your friend left. You began to ponder what it meant to truly connect with the essence of these legendary beings. It wasn't just about seeing them or hearing their stories. It was about embodying their qualities. The dragon's strength and watchfulness, the phoenix's renewal and hope, these were not just traits to admire, but to cultivate within oneself. Driven by this realization, you decided to embark on a new journey. You traveled to other villages, sharing the story of the dragon and the phoenix, but with a new emphasis. You encouraged people to find their inner dragon, the part of them that protected and nurtured, and their inner phoenix, the part that embraced change and inspired others. You taught that these qualities were not reserved for mythical creatures, but were accessible to everyone. As you traveled, you saw the impact of your message. In each place you visited, people began to explore their own potential for kindness, courage, and transformation. They started initiatives to help their communities, cared for the natural world, and fostered a culture of empathy and understanding. The story of the dragon and the phoenix became more than just a tale. It became a catalyst for change. One evening, while resting under the stars, you felt a presence. You looked up and saw a golden light in the sky. The phoenix, radiant as ever, flew overhead. For a moment, it seemed to pause, as if acknowledging your efforts. Then, with a graceful sweep of its wings, it ascended higher into the sky. At that moment, you understood that the journey of the dragon and the phoenix was not just theirs. It was a journey shared by all who believed in the power of hope and renewal. The eternal journey. The legend of the dragon and the phoenix continues to live on, not just in stories, but in the actions of those who embrace their message. They remind us that within each person lies the potential to be a beacon of hope and a guardian of balance. As long as there are those who believe, the story will never end. It is an endless journey, a cycle of growth and renewal that will continue to inspire generations to come. And so, dear reader, the question remains, how will you carry forward the light of the phoenix and the strength of the dragon? What part will you play in this never-ending story of hope and transformation? Over the years, the story of the dragon and the phoenix became a legacy that transcended generations. The towns where you shared their message flourished, filled with people seeking to embody the wisdom of these mythical beings. Small altars were built in honor of the phoenix, where people left golden feathers and lit candles as symbols of renewal. Statues of dragons were also erected in town squares, representing protection and balance. One night, while camping in a distant valley, you met a group of travelers who had also heard the legend. They sat with you around the campfire and asked you to tell the story as you had experienced it. After you finished, a young man in the group remained thoughtful. "It's fascinating how a story can have such a profound impact on people's lives," he said. "But I wonder, is there something beyond the story? Some deeper truth we've yet to discover?" Your eyes met his, and in that moment, you felt a spark of recognition. You knew that the story of the dragon and the phoenix was just the beginning of a broader understanding. It was time to explore the true purpose behind these magical encounters. So, along with the group of travelers, you decided to embark on a new expedition. This time, the destination was a place mentioned in ancient tales, a lost temple at the peak of a forgotten mountain. It was said that there, those who sought with pure hearts could communicate with the forces that govern the world and perhaps uncover the true meaning of the story of the dragon and the phoenix. The journey was arduous. Climbing the mountain required all the strength and will of the group. But with each step, you felt an increasing sense of purpose. Upon reaching the summit, you found the temple, ancient and majestic, carved into the very rock of the mountain. You entered with reverence, and in the center of the main hall, you found a large mural depicting the dragon and the phoenix surrounded by unknown symbols. As you gazed at the mural, one of the symbols began to glow. A voice, soft yet powerful, resonated in the hall. "Welcome, seekers of truth. You have reached the summit of your search, but the true journey has only just begun. The dragon and the phoenix are not merely guardians of change and hope, they are reflections of the duality of the world and the human soul." The voice continued to explain that the dragon represented protection, strength, and accumulated wisdom, while the phoenix symbolized renewal, inspiration, and the ability to rise from the ashes of adversity. Both were necessary to maintain balance in the world, both externally and internally. "Each of you carries within you a dragon and a phoenix," the voice said. "It is your responsibility to recognize and balance these forces within your own lives." With these words, the mural stopped glowing, and the hall fell silent. The understanding of these teachings resonated deeply within all of you. You had discovered a deeper truth. The true power of the story of the dragon and the phoenix lay not in their literal existence, but in the symbolism and wisdom they represented. You returned to the village with a new mission. It wasn't just about telling the story. It was about helping others discover their own inner dragon and phoenix. You taught that every challenge was an opportunity to learn and grow, that every ending brought a new beginning. Over time, the message spread, and people began to seek within themselves the balance between strength and renewal. The eternal wisdom. The legend of the dragon and the phoenix lives on, but it has evolved. It is no longer just a tale of mythical creatures, it is a guide for life. It reminds us that we all have the capacity to protect and nurture, to be reborn and change. The story never ends because there will always be new hearts ready to be awakened, new lives willing to be transformed. And so, Dear reader, the cycle continues. How will you balance the dragon and the phoenix within you? What new stories will arise from your own experiences and learnings? The endless story of the dragon and the phoenix is now also your story, and you are the author of its next chapter.
Esto es todo. Si te ha gustado, no olvides comentar, trae más historias. También aprovechamos a decirte que si aún no lo estás, suscríbete al canal para que sigamos trayendo más historias así. Y no olvides compartir este video con las personas que tengan un nivel de inglés más bajo que el tuyo. Muchas gracias por ver y te esperamos en el siguiente video que te dejaremos por aquí. Y con eso terminamos. Si te gustó este video, asegúrate de suscribirte al canal. Además, te invitamos a ver el siguiente video que te dejamos por aquí, para seguir mejorando tu nivel de inglés a base de práctica y repetición. Nos vemos allí.